Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the University of Wisconsin River Falls Esports program. Tonight we got some wonderful League of Legends set up for you. River Falls is going to be facing off against St. Clair College. Now, this is going to be an interesting battle because we are actually going to be starting on red side right now. Yes, I know. Hold your breath. We usually start on blue. I know this is a common misconception that River Falls is always on blue, but our patented colors of the Falcons are red, which is why we're starting over here now, and also because they won the coin toss. But that doesn't really matter right now. Let's get into the draft because the game has already started, and we got a lot to talk about. I'm joined today by the wonderful Gavin.
No, we froze! James, I'm so sorry. What's going on? We got technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll bear with us this fine afternoon here at River Falls, facing off against St. Clair College. We're ready for it. I mean, we got a great draft on both sides. We always like to start off in the top lane, spend too much time in the top lane, and go, oh crap, what about all the other lanes? So let's real quick get this out of the way. We've seen this in the past. We've seen this before. You know, we watch games sometimes. We got a Malphite on River Falls, and then we've got a Renekton on St. Clair College. What do you think about that?
So after we saw the draft earlier in the third-party clients, we noticed that River Falls was drafting a lot of squishies, and I think that's why the Malphite was brought out. Renekton into the Malphite lane, it seems like Renekton is going to stomp very hard, and Malphite is going to be used and utilized for those late-game engages rather than a early-game lane bully. And as we can see that right here in the top lane, that's already what we're seeing right now is the lane slowly being pushed in level 1 just from that Renekton. So I think this is going to be a common trend in the top lane because they're going to rely on this Malphite so much for just face tanking everything in this game. However, I think it's going to pay dividends for River Falls down the line as all of their comp is going to scale up despite being this squishy.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had this talk earlier before we popped over on the microphone here, but we're going to see a lot of tussling on the side of St. Clair as they're going to try to just bully out River Falls in the early game here. But River Falls is just going to have to bide their time. They're just going to have to play, safe but consistent and strong and stay in this fight and really just wait for their moment to shine once that happens. So in the jungle here, we've got Viego and we got a Wukong on St. Clair. So I hear a lot about this Wukong. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so Wukong is honestly in a very, very good state right now. Very, very powerful jungle pick and sometimes a sleeper pick. I think a lot of people don't understand how strong this champion can be, both as an engaged champion, a gank potential champion, and as well as just farming and clearing. Oh, wow. In the mid lane, we actually have a good trade going on right now. Flashes is expend from Arrow Hunter, but Zaku using that W from the Katarina to catch up in no time and slaughtering the Ahri, bringing around first blood for the side of St. Clair. Also in the top lane, a really bad trade for Alizria, but going to escape with their life for now. Anyway, as I was saying, the Wukong pick, I think it's a very, very strong jungle pick. I'm not so sure about Viego. I know that Peach knows a lot more about this game than I do, so I'm going to trust her intelligence with this pick. I know that the clearing and game mechanics around the jungle role is their specialty. Alizria taking another bad trade in the top lane.
The turret!
But the double turret is going to slay the Renekton without giving any credit over to the Malphite. Meanwhile, into the bottom lane of the river, it is just a massive slaughter favoring River Falls. Actually, it's only one kill that goes back into the other way. How did that happen? I thought there were more people going to die in that exchange. However, it's Crystal Fang that's going to sit in the bottom lane as the Jinx and live to tell another day. Or live to tell another tell another day. Goodness gracious, I'm tripping over my words because so much is happening all over the map.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were expecting. You know, St. Clair's up one kill. It's really early. We saw some great exchanges on the side of St. Clair as you know, they used their early game champions really to their advantage here. I mean, Katarina on that trade against Arrow Hunter, once that Ahri just kind of goes out and uses all of her abilities, Katarina can really just capitalize that and use her massive amount of movement speed. She burned the Ignite without even having to flash. And then again with that Renekton just popping on top of the Malphite was just too much for Alizria to really, handle. And if we focus now to our bot lane, we've got a Jinx and a Lulu versus Senna and Nami, which is really strong on both sides. You know, we got a heavy ADC champ on both sides and then a wonderful enchanter support to back them up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's similarities in their differences, however. While both being enchanters, Lulu is more of a buff agent. somebody who definitely wants to help their teammates more with direct abilities. Obviously, that polymorph is a very, very good utility for CC. However, the rest is going to be kitted around straight damage as well as enchanting and buffing up her teammates. Whereas Nami, I feel like you can use a lot more of her kit offensively and counterintuitively not using it as a support, but more of almost a solo laner. Ironically, again, Lulu is using it in the solo lane.
This level 6 comes out from Malphite right under.
Oh my gosh.
They were trying to clear that last line of minions. As soon as they did, the ult came up, knocked the Renekton under turret. No minions to protect the Renekton. They take a turret shot or two, and absolutely great turnaround to put Alessia back up on the leaderboard and just match this Renekton. If not, apparently Renekton died twice there. To that execute.
Yeah, the execute, unfortunately not giving the kill credit over to the Malphite, but now stepping up with that level 6 play, and it's already 25% done on cooldown. I think it's going to be ready for the next engage by the time he gets back to lane. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, River Falls is going to collect this Drake. They have enough strengths all over the map despite some early picks in that mid lane. They are going to be able to claim this for themselves as the rest of St. Clair's is limping back to their lanes, trying to catch up with whatever they can as the Cloud Drake falls. Now back to what I was saying. The Enchanters are same but different. Same with the ADCs. Jinx, a hyper carry scaling character. Senna, a hyper-scaling utility character used more for the range as well as the tower destruction and sometimes even CC and support, especially with that global ult that can shield allies. So definitely some differences going on between these two lanes. However, both are going to scale relatively well and alongside each other. So it all depends on jungle. It all depends on who can get their bottom lane ahead faster.
And we saw really early Drake take by Peach here, doing an absolutely wonderful job in just, she got an assist. I believe that was up on top lane, but then roaming around, taking her camps, and just staying ahead of this Wukong, and just completely uncontested first Drake taken by River Falls.
That was really getting stunned now in the top lane, but the Renekton is just going to E backwards before dealing any more damage. It's going even. However, I stand corrected from what I said a minute into this game that Malphite is actually coming out ahead.
We
in
hit
XP.
level 6.
Not necessarily CS, however, still holding that advantage over the Renekton. 2 solo kills, 1 for each in that top lane. However, one seems to be a little bit more impressive from the Malphite. And speaking of the Malphite, the ultimate is up. Looks like waiting for some ambush potential. But the Wukong's rotating upwards. Hopefully, Alessia sees this and can cater as such. No, actually, the Wukong's just going to be going for Krug.
Yeah, as Peach kind of fell back into her jungle, and I really honestly thought we were going to see a gank here by Absi, the Wukong, but alas, he decided to back up, take their junglers as they noticed and wanted to respond appropriately that Peach was backing off. And these two top laners are going to tussle. They're going to do top lane things. They're both pretty well full health, and we don't have to really focus on that as our camera's shifting us to mid lane, to the bot lane, and then just back up to the top lane. So just some standard tusslings up on top lane as Renekton is just going through these trades as they can, doing Renekton things, as Malphite just has to unfortunately sit there and take it. But Eerie and Wadsworth are just bullying Crystal Fang under this turret.
Yeah, Alessia using that shield as much as possible, that passive Malphite shield to defend against as much damage as possible. Now a gank coming in. The Death Lord popped for Zaku, but Alessia is there with the unstoppable force, going unstoppable and knocking up the Katarina out of her own ultimate. Flash and Ignite were expended as well as the ultimate from Zaku. Gonna have to go back to lane in the next 6 seconds without any of those 3 part of their kit. So I don't understand if this was just a miscommunication between the members of St. Clair or if Katarina just doesn't understand how Malphite works.
Really good ward by Alessia or Peach, whoever put that there. For some reason, there's a ward in that bush. Alessia saw it. The ultimate comes out, and Malphite just pushes in, stops it, puts an end to it. Unfortunately, the Renekton was able to just dive under the turret and finish them off. Send them back to Fountain. You kind of make it a little bit even for the soul that they took from St. Clair. But, I mean, keeping your Renekton up is something that you want to do for sure, but this Malphite is going to be big towards late game.
The other thing that was benefiting River Falls from that play as well as Arrow Hunter. Notice how he was able to catch up in the mid lane because Zaku was forced to make this play in order to aid the Renekton in getting farther. And honestly, the Renekton didn't even get that much farther. Still level 8 to level 9 differential, and the CS is still dead even.
Yeah, the turret has been pushed up a bit much onto River Falls here, but that's kind of as to be expected with the lane bully that Renekton is. Malphite's trying their best just to keep up with CS, but that's to be expected. And let's, as usually, we talk about top lane a little bit too much around here, but let's talk about what's going on in this mid lane. We're seeing a lot of damage, and we've seen electrocutes coming out from Arrow Hunter, and this Conqueror is really putting Zaku in the space in mid lane.
Yeah, so the issue now that Arrow Hunter is going to face is Zaku has completed full Bork. Doesn't have any boots, so the movement speed is not going to be there except from Katarina's W, as well as the dash from the E. So Arrow Hunter still has to be careful for movement abilities. However, I think just slow trades will go into the Ahri's favor. As the Katarina, you're not going to be able to kill now with this much lifesteal and this much Omni-Vamp in their kit. So I think it's better that Arrow Hunter's doing exactly what I was about to say, is I think just popping it back, maybe start going towards their Malignants. Speak of the devil, they got their Malignants right there, as well as a control ward. So playing the slow, steady game, understanding when you can back, when you can trade a wave. I think Arrow Hunter is playing this very, very well in the mid lane. Not overextending, but as I'm saying that, Absi, this bush is not warded. The banana bush actually is, but it's not going to be the mid bush. A little bit of a Q from the Wukong right
coming
now.
Up. We might have a fight on our hands. I believe that's a 3v3 coming up as Erie's also rotating with the Jinx behind him on St. Clair.
Yep, the skirmish for second Drake now starts. Zaku gets not only bubbled, but also charmed. Absi, not understanding that their mid laner is CC'd, goes right in. Tries to go for Peach, but Peach goes unstoppable and gets a reset onto the Viego. Now transformed into the Wukong, ults back onto the head of Katarina, slaying them down instead. Meanwhile, Arrow Hunter taking down the head of the Jinx, and there's only one last player to go. It's going to be the Lulu of a Mandarin. I thought that Lulu was going to be able to escape at that point, but no. Falls to the hands of Arrow Hunter. And that's going to be, what, 4 kills? 3 kills for the hands of River Falls, as
4.
well as a Drake?
Yeah.
And Renekton losing some tempo in the top, losing a wave right now. I don't know what Solitary is doing. The fight is already over, my friend. Why are you rotating down into the river?
Renekton was over on mid, taking some minions, I think, trying to push the mid turret a little bit while they were losing that fight. Just so perfectly executed by River Falls. They just perfectly timed everything that they had. Peach absolutely great at pressing those buttons, popping off the Viego wall, popping off some stuns. They were able to stop that Katarina ult thanks to Mr. Wadsworth's ultimate, just knocking everybody up, which just gave everybody enough time, line up their skill shots, line up their shots, and just take aim and fire.
Yeah, Nami's tidal wave putting into work that fight, trying to flex on the Malphite that is on their own team. It's showing like, yeah, we can all cancel the Katarina ultimate. You're not special.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of that fight too, Mr. Wadsworth hit 2 with their Q.
Yeah, stun up the Katarina, kept them out of the fight. Absi, not understanding that their mid laner was not able to engage and zip in as Katarinas are known to do, instead uses that Wukong E to dash in and try to get some cheeky little Qs off onto Peach and Arrow Hunter. But Peach had ultimate available that entire time, so once somebody was low enough, all they had to do was finish him off, get that reset, and the fight was done from there. Now, a gank in the bottom lane. St. Clair trying to put some kills into their own name, and they end up claiming 2, both of them in the bottom lane. Both Wadsworth and Erie fall. Meanwhile, in the top lane, there's going to be a counterplay going on, and Solitary Skill is going to sit and look at a gray screen for the next 28 seconds as they die too. Both lanes swapping plays, but which one will be better for the teams in the long run?
These are perfectly taken and well executed plays by both teams here. I think they're both playing their game and they're both playing it well, and they're just picking their fights that they could win and doing a great job at it. Like, we haven't seen a team fight go anywhere other than in the favor of one team specifically. It hasn't been close in any regard for either side.
It's been stomping one way or the other. Meanwhile, the scoreboard still relatively even. Zaku taking a funky trade in the mid lane. Arrow Hunter's actually going to expend the ult and force out the Death Lotus from Zaku. Zaku flashes behind to get in the melee range from Arrow Hunter. Peach is on the way for some backup, but it does not matter. Not only did Arrow Hunter have another charge of the R ultimate, but lands the W straight onto the forehead of the Katarina. Get on out of here. This is Arrow Hunter's mid lane.
Zaku almost had Arrow Hunter as they dashed behind, just in time for them to not hit the Q on the comeback. I guess whatever you want to call the Q coming back. Yeah, the Q's recall. So it went out, would have done more damage on the way back, but they just dodged it by, using their abilities that they've got. We're gonna see Peach rotating down to bot lane, and Obsi is here to contest this and gonna get knocked up by the Wukong ultimate. Oh my goodness, Lulu fell really short there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Eerie also has to die. It's up to Mr. Wadsworth, the last one taking, but the Crystal Fang has that Jinx passive and hunts him down all the way back to the tier 1 turret. A great gank on the bottom lane from St. Clair. Notice that a Mandarin actually had to use the ultimate and expel it on themselves to get that Lulu heal, but it wasn't enough because Erie's ultimate dealt enough to finally finish off that Lulu. Meanwhile, Abzi also putting in some work, expending that Wukong ultimate, knocking up 2 members of River Falls, leading into a triple kill.
Absolutely.
Peach also died in that exchange.
Well said, well put, and that puts I believe that put a bounty maybe into whoever's pockets that killed Peach.
Not quite, but they are starting to get there.
Oh.
The Jinx is now 4-1 with 2 completed items and Berserker Greaves. This Jinx is going to be a monster. But speaking of a monster, Zaku has a solo kill of his own. Well, not quite a solo kill with the help of the Mandarin on that Lulu. Peach trying to get something back, but it's not going to be enough. A Mandarin is just going to help his boy escape with that movement speed from the Lulu W, and they are out of there. Highway robbery in the mid lane as Arrow Hunter gets sent back to the fountain.
Nami's got Imperial Mandate. Nami's ready to do some healing. I'm ready to see some health bars go up.
This is something we were talking about pregame as well, is how Nami fits into this team comp. We were wondering how it is. It can be a little tricky to hit those bubbles, hit those Qs, but now that the Malphite is there to round things out, a little bit easier to hit that kind of CC. You can tee that up with the Qs on the Nami, hit that R button, getting that tidal wave in. Maybe Eerie throws out a W or 2 as well, or whatever the Senna CC is. And all of a sudden, the enemy team can't move at all. So I think that's what Wadsworth is playing around right now, is his teammate CC to tee up his own.
Absolutely. Alezra, if I was Alezra right now, I would just be itching to hit R right now. I'm working on it. Renekton, maybe to stop the Renekton's ultimate. Oh, and a Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket comes from the bot side, just barely grazing the Alezra. Not actually hitting him, but they're going to do a strong job at just finishing off that fight and sending this Renekton back to the fountain again with another gank as topside gets ganked once again.
Solitary forced to pop that Dominus and loses his life for it instead of just saving the ultimate. Arrow Hunter now trying to contest the Drake. Throws out a charm, but it misses Zaku by a mile.
Alezra's been left in the pit.
He's in there and is left to die from his teammates. Saving Private Malphite is not going to be a success. It is a failure on all fronts by the U.S. government. Arrow Hunter now falls trying to save his boy, and now it's up to the last 2 remaining players. Make that 3 remaining players as Peach is still in this fight. Look at the flank behind the Drake pit, behind Abzi. The Viego is still there, but it may be too little too late as Zaku is on a killing spree, taking down the Nami, Crystal Fang with one of his own, and now it's simply up to Peach, the flanking Viego that was there just a little bit too late before the fight could even start. And the Drake also goes for St. Clair.
Again, just another fight that went completely in the favor of those that were ready for it. St. Clair did expend 3 ultimates on the Malphite, the Katarina ultimate coming out, the Wukong ultimate coming out to knock him up, and then I believe the Lulu ult was cast towards the end of that as well to make Katarina even more deadly, and then they were able to dash towards the bush to whoever was running away at the moment and just kind of, they just had to hit up some stragglers on the way out.
St. Clair has swung this game into their favor by a mile. The 5K gold differential. We would assume that if you were looking at this game 5-10 minutes ago, you would have said, oh, yeah, the 5,000 gold differential must be sitting on the members of River Falls, correct? No, it's actually because of all of these fights going in St. Clair's ways. However, I think the River Falls can make a comeback here. I think it's just about the team collaboration, communication, and able to set up those team fights perfectly so that Alezria can get a good ult and Peach can get in there and get enough resets.
It's been a great game of tug of war so far. At first, St. Clair was up, and then River Falls was up, then St. Clair's back up again, River Falls was up, and then St. Clair's back up again. We're only at 19 minutes as River Falls hits his Rift Herald on topside, and we're gonna have River Falls take down their first turret.
Yeah, I'm surprised St. Clair actually traded Rift Herald here for Drake. All 5 members did force a reset at the end of that fight, it looked like. But instead of rotating up to the Herald pit, they instead gave that to River Falls and went back to their respective lanes, which is totally fine because they were able to claim the turret in mid as well as the turret in the bottom side. But giving over Rift Herald, I don't know if that's something that they really needed to do. However, it's something that they did do.
We were talking about this before the game, but we were looking at this Viego pick and going, I don't think Viego is really as prominent as he used to be. And clearly, we were right in saying that Peach knows something we don't, because they are just controlling this jungle and really helping River Falls. Even though they might be down in kills, they're up in Drakes. They've taken Rift Herald, and they're just going to try and focus these objectives and try to twist this game from below and put it in their favor.
Yeah, Peach may be the ruler of their own jungle. However, in the enemy jungle, it does not seem so, as their life is claimed by the enemy jungler Abzi, it seems.
Oh, we're checking an Otacon take this early.
I was about to say, it looks like there's actually going to be a contention from River Falls. I'm not sure if this is the play. You don't have a jungler for another 2 seconds. There's no TP available as a summoner spell. The dominance is going to be popped from Solitary, but a charm lands true. Loses all of their health bar down to about 25%. Abzi falling low as well, even with the Lulu ultimate and the knockup going through it. And looks like Alizaria just takes fate into his own hands. No,
gosh.
Crystal Fate gets the Jinx reset from the passive and runs away with one little tiny hair of life left. River Falls might jump onto this Otacon now. Solitary still hanging around. That Dominus was able to build that Fury.
The rest of the team is here.
He was able to heal off of the entire enemy team of River Falls. Now, Peach and Wadsworth, Eerie, all at full health. There to try and get the Otacon. However, the Super Mega Death Rocket comes through and takes out Arrow Hunter. A kill goes in the way of St. Clair, but the Otacon goes for River Falls.
Well, they'll take a kill with that. Great turnaround by River Falls. You send in the Malphite in there. Everybody else just zones in on the Malphite. Says, we gotta take down this rock. We gotta erode this thing away. And Alesria just did a great job. Wonderful, unstoppable force just goes straight in, knocks up their St. Clair's ADC, and just sends that Jinx up. And the shields that came in from Lulu during that fight were just immense clutches. Twice. Two shield clutches by the Lulu onto Jinx during that fight. They should have been dead twice.
Yeah, good capitalization from the Malphite, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough firepower from River Falls to back up a play like that, so they were in a little bit late. Unfortunately, Alizaria did lose their life for that, but they were able to take Crystal Fang out of the fight. Whether it's not a kill, it was indirectly forcing that Jinx to back, but unfortunately, because it wasn't a kill, Arrow Hunter then lost his life to the Super Mega Death Rocket shortly afterwards.
Just gonna bully this Renekton.
Speaking of kills, this Renekton is getting put in the dirt and shooken for all of his lunch money. Peach, Wadsworth, and Alizaria ganking in the top lane and taking out that dinosaur.
Yep, great execution. They want to stop him, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Spear Sojin on this Renekton with the Black Cleaver. He's going to be tanky. He's not going to go down without a fight. He's going to chip away your health bars, but River Falls just opts to recall afterwards, and I guess we're going to start pushing mid.
Keep your eye on center right here. I'm not sure if we can see how many stacks they have, but they've got to be getting a lot. They've started. Eerie is definitely starting to hit that threshold to the point where he's going to be able to shoot towers without even entering turret range.
I hope so. I hope so.
Looks like we're going to be setting up for a Drake. This is going to be the 4th Drake of the game. This would be the 3rd Drake for River Falls or the 2nd Drake for St. Clair's. River Falls could be on Soul Point if they manage their vision properly and play the team fight even better. Abzi foresees the W. Wukong goes invisible. Dashes away. River Falls now on the hunt for anybody on that flank. It's actually going to be Zaku and the Renekton of Solitary going into the backline. I think River Falls is privy to this play, and yes, it's a flash out from Peach. Stun on to the Death Lotus of Katarina. She dies before any damage can be left off. Now it's the remaining players from St. Clair's on the back foot running away, but there's too many resets for this Viego. Peach going into the Renekton, but no, it's the Jinx actually that comes in from downtown and takes out all the remaining members. Abzi now snaking his way up through the top side of the bottom side of the jungle and taking out the remaining players of River Falls. This may be game, folks, as St. Clair has taken the game right out from underneath River Falls.
That might have been the first fight in this 23-minute game where it was looking like one team was going to take it, and then it went the complete other way. River Falls was trying to set up for this Drake take. St. Clair was seeing, their entire team is here. We're kind of not all together. Let's just rotate, push up mid, force a tower, force them to fight us, or they lose the tower. And River Falls took the bait. They went up to fight that tower, and they just got pincered. They just got completely collapsed on.
Yeah, an unfortunate misstep. I'm not sure how it went so wrong for River Falls. They had such a great opening hand by taking out Zaku and one-shotting them. Then Solitary skill brought down to 25% health, instead opting to E back in as the Renekton. Even though Dominus has popped, there's no... what's the item? It's one that gives you shield after. Oh, Wadsworth getting caught in the jungle now. I just totally missed that play. Zaku and Amandarin taking the support out for River Falls. It's going to be a 4v5 just in time for Baron.
Looking for Sterax gauge.
Sterax. So there's no Sterax on this Renekton, so going back in proves nothing. There was no Q that was able to get popped off, just got instantly one-shot alongside the Katarina. However, Crystal Fang just must have been in the perfect position to use that rocket launcher to deal all of that splash damage against the members of River Falls. Now Peach taking a trade in the mid lane, smiting Zaku, forcing the ultimate out, but Zaku just simply flashes away. Now, River Falls trying to play from the back foot the best they can, pushing everybody off of this mid lane, but instead, the remaining players for St. Clair is just going to be taking the Baron right now. I think this may be right under River Falls' noses.
Absolutely. You know, they're trying to group up. They're still trying to lick their wounds from that last fight. I mean, they're all coming up. River Falls is behind the Baron as St. Clair is opting to just push up in jungle instead of up through lanes. I think they're trying to make their way over to mid lane here, but River Falls is... They've got sight on them. They're seeing them. They're gearing up and ready for this fortitude to hold.
Well, River Falls also knows that they're still on a spike right now. Abzi just absolutely decimating the members of River Falls. Wadsworth forced to pop that tidal wave from the Nami, and it only knocks up one member of St. Clair's before he dies. Next to fall is going to be the Arya of Arrow Hunter as well as Peach joining that Malphite in the afterlife. It's going to be all up to the Senna of Erie to hold these two Nexus turrets. One falls. All 5 members of St. Clair's are still up. The Death Lotus goes into the fountain and immediately dies. That is not where you want to position your ultimate, my friend, but it may be too late for Erie to make a difference despite only being down so much gold.
We saw we were expecting to see a really good early game by St. Clair here, and then a really good late game by River Falls. But St. Clair just kept pushing, they kept going, and they kept taking their fights well, and River Falls was just unable to keep up. They were still able to take good fights, but the second that they started that one fight towards mid, after that, what was it, that 4th Drake, and they just got collapsed on, they just
snowballed down.
Yeah, they couldn't grab their footing, and it was just downhill.
That's what I was saying. Even despite this kind of small gold differential with St. Clair being in the lead, there was still a comeback opportunity, but unfortunately that gap just got bigger and bigger, and the disparity between gold just got wider and wider between all of the players, and unfortunately that just led to another Drake play, another Baron play, another mid play, and eventually game. However, we are not done yet. This is going to be a best of 3. Can River Falls come back? I think they can. I know that Gavin thinks they can.
We've learned a
lot.
lot.
Have to stay tuned to see if they can. So we will be back after a short break. for League of Legends here at River Falls Esports. We have game number 2 lined up for us. Gavin, what do you say we get this underway with some draft talk?
I'm so ready.
Now, the way that these players are picking their champions is not necessarily in the order that they were drafted, as that was done on a third-party website. However, this is in role order, so as we can see on the screen, it's going to be Kennen top, a Graves jungle, and Bessa mid, Misfortune, and Rel in the bot lane.
Absolutely. I think we learned a lot in our game 1 here. River Falls is ready to do a reverse 2-1 here. And I mean, we love to talk about our draft, and we got plenty of minutes to talk about it before the game actually starts this time. So first up, Kennen and Camille, 2 kind of niche picks, just in general for the top side. So I'm actually going to be really excited to see this because I'm pretty familiar with Kennen, not at all with Camille. So Kennen's going to kind of be moving around. He's going to try and get those storm passive stacks on Camille, stun her up, pin her down, and just do some extra damage. But what is Camille going to do to this Kennen?
So Camille is all about spacing. So when any ranged matchup with Camille, such as the Kennen or the Gnar, it's all going to be about using your E and using your W for the heals. Now the W is going to be a cone effect. If you nick them with the very tail end of the cone, you get a little bit of health regeneration based on the damage dealt. And her E is going to be that zip line where she can zip around the lane. However, it's on a long cooldown. So the game in top lane is going to be, can the Kennen lock down the Camille with the passive stacks before the Camille can CS long enough in the lane to start rotating down, maybe get a Trinity Force online, and start dealing some damage to the rest of the team. Kennen is about locking down the Camille, ensuring that they cannot play, and giving the Kennen's team a solid 4v4 in the remainder of the lanes.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, Kennen's going to be really strong late game if Elezreal can keep up.
And if Flash is online.
Yeah, if Camille can stomp down this Kennen, that's going to be really strong for St. Clair. But, I mean, Peach on this Graves, going to be a really good roam to take out this Camille. Going to be a really good roam on really any lane. And with the Graves matching up against, I believe it's Jarvan 4 in the jungle, these are 2 really strong gank-heavy junglers with a little bit of a dash. Jarvan having a little bit more CC and a little bit more support, where Graves is just going to come in and shoot his shotgun. I mean, he's going to do some damage. He's going to pull out that smoke screen and just really provide some extra fire.
Yeah, very bursty, very annoying. Meanwhile, Jarvan 4, instead of that damage, although Jarvan 4 can do some damage, more of a Sundering Sky build, I'm going to assume, is what the build is going to be here, and more of a sustained utility champion rather than the Graves. I'm going to shoot everything in sight, be the DPS for my team. Alongside Misfortune, we are going to carry while the rest of you guys stun them up for us. So, different roles, different stories in the night right now between these 2 characters. However, I think they're going to avoid each other for the most part. I know that Graves is very good at invading as well as bullying out the other jungler. However, Jarvan 4 has enough, situational awareness and vision with that flag, as well as mobility with that flag. And as long as this Jarvan understands how the jungle role works around counter-jungling a Graves, I think they'll be just fine in the farming aspect. In terms of ganking and playing in the late-game team fights, unfortunately, Jarvan will have the upper hand, being able to front-face the enemy team, jump onto a carry very, very quickly, using that ultimate, the Cataclysm, to lock them in. So it's all about River Falls and their immobile carries, such as the Misfortune, being able to play around the rest of the team in order to counter the Jarvan 4.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see where those Cataclysms land from Jarvan. Who's going to be targeting? Maybe it's going to be this Kennen to stop that ultimate. Maybe it's going to be Arrow Hunter on this Ambessa, who's just going to try to maul his lanes as he usually does. Yeah. Same thing with the Camille. If they're going to opt to maybe lock down Ambessa or lock down Kennen, somebody who's got that kind of dash. But, I mean, focusing onto this Ambessa and Arrow Hunter, really comfortable champ for Arrow Hunter. We've seen plenty of times in the past, but going up on against this Orianna, who's kind of a little more squishy, has some CC, has a little bit of self-sustain, but also just throws out range damage. I mean, we're gonna see our typical Arrow Hunter in his natural environment.
Yeah, if Arrow Hunter is in form, the rest of the team can thrive, and that's exactly what we want to see here today, especially on a signature pick such as Ambessa. And I love the counter. What's the word? I guess the yin and the yang of River Falls team comp right now, with the Kennen AP top and the Ambessa AD mid. It's going to be a very, very interesting fight, and going to be a very interesting puzzle for St. Clair to unravel. And if they can't untie this Gordian knot, River Falls is going to run away with the game.
Absolutely. And this bot lane with a Rel and Misfortune for River Falls and then a Leona Jinx for St. Clair, we've got a lot of CC and we've got a lot of damage coming in from both sides. So it's going to be who can get on top of who first, which is kind of just like top lane, kind of just like mid lane. So we're going to see a lot of who's going to get the first move.
Now, this is not Fearless, as I'm sure you can tell, because Crystal Fang is back on that Jinx. However, River Falls, I'm sure they drafted up a game plan to make sure that last game does not happen again. History does not repeat itself with this Jinx getting accelerated early. And I think that's why they picked the MF. It's more of a stable laner, can maybe even bully out the Jinx every now and again. But
Opted for the cleanse.
My only concern, right? Oh, and first strike, too. My only concern about this Misfortune is how immobile Misfortune can. Yes, you do get the movement speed with the W. However, there is no ability to jump or dash over anything except for the flash. So, if Misfortune gets locked down during any of these team fights without contributing a sufficient amount of damage, it could spell doom for River Falls.
Yeah, and Cleanse is unfortunately not going to save you from a Cataclysm or, I don't believe, the Camille ult. Peach is really pushing up on Opsy here, trying to get an early pick, but they're going to get pincered here. Solitary Skill is up on top, just kind of roaming in. Peach is going to opt for going up and around red buff and unfortunately just get picked out. And the dash is here, but Zaku is here as well. Kind of a team effort from St. Clair. They're not going to be too... They're not going to let that happen in their jungle. Unfortunately, going to be a later start for Peach. And let Absi get a little bit of head start on the jungle, but Graves we're going to be seeing a lot of Graves in these lanes as Peach is opting for Dark Harvest. Actually.
Yeah, I was just about to
so
up.
That's going to be a menace, and we know that Peach is good for it. So we're going to see Graves just kind of poking in some low health damage.
Yeah, an unfortunate trade going in the top side of the river towards that Raptor camp. St. Clair just collapsing onto Peach, overextending just a little bit too much, really seeing red on Absi and wanting to make up for last game by accelerating River Falls, but instead the opposite happens, and now red side is up by 500 gold. Not a lot in the grand scheme of things, however, an extra few pots can lead to higher sustain within lane and thus leading to higher CS numbers, maybe more of a bullying, doesn't have to take a bad back as much, so we're going to have to see how this pays dividends for St. Clair. If they can't use this advantage, then there's no point in even getting this kill.
Arrow Hunter honestly has a really good pick as well on this Ambessa to fight this Orianna, having the mobility after every single ability cast, having the self-shield, and just being able to not worry about mana as well with having energy on Ambessa. Arrow Hunter can just throw out these abilities, clear these minions as possible, and keep the gap as close as possible with CS, and obviously going to be trying to throw in as much damage as we're seeing here going in on Zaku. These abilities have been cast, and Arrow Hunter knows an opportune time when he sees it, and he's pushing in. And Zaku burning the flash as well. The fact that Arrow Hunter is able to keep up and keep on top of this Orianna with Phase Rush, I mean, the speed and the flash is going to get you out by a hair against Arrow Hunter's Ambessa.
I could tell that Arrow Hunter also wanted to flash afterwards, but instead chose to keep it, opting to maintain the flash for the next trade that will happen. Orianna getting a Dark Seal and a Tear on the way back to lane.
Dark Seal,
That's
okay.
It's very scary.
After that first
Ambessa.
fight?
Yeah, a little extra gold from that first kill. However, and now in the early game, Ambessa might be bullied out a little bit. Let's see if Arrow Hunter can counteract, because a Dark Seal this early can be good in some instances and, can slow down your roll in other instances. We're just going to have to see how it works. Solitary Skill now using that E and the passive to get so much armor back. Alizria dashing away and instead stunning away with the Camille to save their own life. Flash was expended by the Kennen.
Really good trades on both sides here as they're kind of just trying to lay up. If I'm Alizria, I'm trying to check that bush. I got my Graves with me, but we're going to opt to play safe. Solitary does have TP. Peach is here. She might be looking for a gank here, trying to bait out with this low health Alizria. Jarvan is running up lane. If a fight starts, he might be there towards the end of it, but we are going to be tussling on mid lane here as we're actually missing a fight, and a gank on top side. Not going to mount to much on either lane, but the support was taken in here on bot side, and Mr. Wadsworth going in with a rel stun and kind of just saying, okay, let's break this up. We may want to fight right now, but it's, we're going to stop everything. We're going to keep our composure. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to go to anybody's office and have a talk about what we did today. So we're going to continue to CS.
Mr. Wadsworth really wants to set up a crash down
He
right
does.
now on the rel, but I can tell holding
Hungry
back
for
everything, wants to use that Ignite. Arrow Hunter taking a lot of damage from Zaku, but trading it out by landing every single Mbessa ability under the sun. This Orianna does not know what to do against this character. I don't know if they've ever laned against an Mbessa mid before.
Mr. Wadsworth is ready to, he wants to charge in. He's off that horse, so he wants to get on that horse, maybe throw him out beside, get the stuns out on this Leona, and just kind of punish for overextending, but not really too much. More of just a slap on the wrist and go about your day. Again, we don't want to go to an office and talk to somebody.
Go directly to the principal's office. Do not pass go. And what I was about to say was River Falls actually has a really good wave state right now, freezing it right next to the tower. That's actually beneficial for them.
Able to just perfectly set up these last shots and really force St. Clair to step up. And Arrow Hunter with the flash out coming just I can't take I need to leave these fights to you.
Flashes forward, lands the Q, hits another
beautiful.
auto attack, and then finally finishes off that Orianna with a W, sending them back to the fountain. Zaku now 1-1 with Arrow Hunter sitting pretty at 1-0.
Now imagine that, but like 30 seconds earlier.
Great use of the flash. It's going to be on cooldown. Zaku's will be up before Arrow Hunter's is, so going to have to play a little bit of the safer game with the Mbessa. However, notice the level differential. Zaku just only now hit level 6. Arrow Hunter is probably about halfway over to level 7. Public Execution and Shockwave are both available for these mid laners. We'll have to see which one wants to use them first. I'm surprised there's going to be no contention on the Drake. Absi taking Ocean Drake with little to no effort.
I mean, this is a Jarvan 4 classic. He just does this. He's like, oh, guys, I can take this. I have enough. I have enough health. I have enough armor. I can just take this Drake. I can, buff my speed. I don't need anybody. We know where the enemy is, and I'll just take it from here. Peach looking to punish Zaku on this mid lane here, but unfortunately Arrow Hunter is just too far back to really help with this fight. Obviously opted for a flash. Cataclysm might be coming out here, possibly on this Arrow Hunter as he's just dashing out. There's a Cataclysm. We got 3 people on River Falls in that Cataclysm, and Absi is just trying to roll down. Peach popping out Absi, I believe, with the ultimate there. Oh no, not even with the ultimate there. Peach is still level 5, but Arrow Hunter is just trying to get out with his life. But this top laner, the Solitary, just roams all the way down to mid, just in time to pop that last shot off and recall.
Yeah, Crystal Fang almost dying to the tower right there, but that is a great fight for St. Clair. It was actually a Cataclysm and a Shockwave combo right there, sucking in all 3 members of River Falls into a kill corner where St. Clair could just pound damage. However, River Falls was able to get 1 back for their troubles, but unfortunately, the sealant of the dealant in that mid lane was Solitary skill, flashing over the wall and getting that Camille W onto the remaining players of River Falls, netting them 3 kills in that exchange.
And I think again, Peach was just unfortunately caught a little bit too far up, as Arrow Hunter was still trying to roam or walk around that wall, and she just got caught out.
Well, Public Execution was the original plan to go onto that Orianna. Get Peach close enough to use that shotgun. How else is Mbessa supposed to slow them down other than knocking them up into the air and going unstoppable with the Public Execution? But unfortunately, Orianna juked out Arrow Hunter by using that phase rush, by getting out of the way just in time before the Public Execution could land. So Peach, thinking that the Public Execution was going to come out, dashed in before any other changes in the comms could be made.
We've got a Leona coming up and setting for Void Grubs here, as Kennen is going to be caught up possibly in an unfortunate position as they just trying to get some vision in, just making sure, yep, this is what I think is going on. And a Mandarin hits the Zenith Blade. The ult comes out by Kennen, trying to stun up everything, try to prevent everything, let the teammates push up. Peach and Arrow Hunter are here. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes in. Peach is able to pop out this Leona. Take it from here, James.
Yeah, Arrow Hunter lands the Public Execution onto Zaku, but meanwhile, the 2 teammates of Arrow Hunter have already fallen. He's now on the back foot, a 1-man army between these 3 members of St. Clair's, and they're going to claim Grubs as a complimentary prize.
Beautiful. Well done by St. Clair, just able to, they saw that Kennen. They were, I believe, 1 or 2 Void Grubs fell, and then they just shifted attention. Leona being able to hit that Zenith Blade and going in was just really strong in locking down, especially once that Kennen ultimate just kind of missed. They were able to lock down and not get shield bash from that Leona anymore, but unfortunately, not everybody was right on top of the Kennen, so not everybody got stunned.
Not only that, it was just simply a strict 3v4 for the remainder of the fight. Once Zaku was able to join, despite the public execution landing straight onto the Orianna, the deed was already done. The damage from that orb was already committed onto the remaining players of River Falls, and that's why they lost the fight in the end there. An unfortunate disadvantage to a man advantage from St. Clair, as they had 4 individuals competing for these grubs, and they were able to claim all 3 of them, now dealing more damage to turrets, and they're using that in their favor right now, claiming a plate in bottom lane, plate in mid lane, and they're probably going to go for a plate in the top lane.
Oh, we got Mr. Wadsworth on this rel coming up. Blocking the super mega death rocket from Arrow Hunter, trying to stun. Arrow Hunter is trying to come in. The Cataclysm comes out and ends Mr. Wadsworth's life. He has laid down his life as a good support does.
Yeah, flash away, but the ultimate is then used immediately by Abzi to collect that rel kill, and that is another victory going for St. Clair. How is River Falls going to come back in this one?
I mean, River Falls is playing as safe as they can in situations like this. The Orianna is getting really scary. We need some magic resist on Arrow Hunter so he can really start trying to bully the Zaku. The ultimate comes out by Zaku, and he's just bullying Arrow Hunter under turret. The last auto comes out and catches through the flash, and unfortunately Arrow Hunter will perish, putting Orianna at a solid 4-1-4.
Yeah. Shockwave catches Arrow Hunter off guard, and before the flash can come through, it is simply too late. One auto attack sailed all the way across the tier 1 turret and claimed another kill for this Orianna. And getting more plates in the mid lane now that there's nobody to compete with.
We're going to see it. Ooh, we're going to take it away.
Yeah, Peach now going for the gank in the bottom lane, trying to make something work for her team. Crystal Fang now brought Bao to about a third HP.
And the Jarvan
barrier is chunked, but no, Crystal Fang gets away with 1 HP. Now it's going to be a 2v2 with Peach, sitting on the back foot instead, down to 1 HP.
Erie's coming.
Doing as much as possible, trying to claim another kill for his own, and he does. Eerie now shooting out that Misfortune ult, but the R is not going to connect for long enough before either member can fall. Both members of St. Clair now sitting in the bottom lane. The support and jungler are sitting pretty underneath this tier 1 turret. Mr. Wadsworth and Eerie want to make something work, but they simply can't. The damage is not there. 2 level 7s cannot do enough damage to claim a kill. I think they're just going to push in this wave.
I think so. I mean, you could take the good with the bad, and a couple plates is not going to be too bad, especially once we're probably going to be getting some bounties up on the side of River Falls to try and turn this game around. They just got to focus on some objectives, got to prioritize some targets, maybe not take fights that we don't want to take, and then I mean, most importantly, just power of friendship. Work as a team, regroup where you need to, take fights as a team as you need to, maybe get a couple picks here and there and lead up for some objectives, and this will be in the bag.
I know I said that the Kennen needs to lock down the Camille and keep her busy. However, I think the Camille has been rotating enough to merit a Kennen rotate as well. A large rocket proto belt flash stun with the ultimate would be enough to turn the tides towards River Falls.
Especially
favor.
like right there. Imagine it's a Kennen right in the middle right there.
In the bottom river right now. TP in the middle of all of them.
As well as St. Clair's going to be starting Drake here and trying to possibly push something up from River Falls, but they got vision everywhere. They are seeing any move that River Falls could possibly make here as Peach and Arrow Hunter are rotating in from mid side, and River Falls trying to pinch here.
They are spotted by the blue trinket before popping that ward plant, but the Drake has already fallen, going to the side of St. Cloud. The Chem plants bloom, as it is going to be a Chem Drake soul for the remainder of the game. Can River Falls get 4 Chem Drakes in a row? We'll have to find out.
I'm rolling my dice. I think yes. I think we have a good chance. I'm trying to look.
I was about to say, some CS trades now going. The game has tempered down a little bit as each member wants to farm, but hold on. As I'm saying that, trade going in on mid lane. Zaku trying to do as much damage as possible. The public execution goes huge. Zaku taking a lot of damage now from this Mbessa and not respecting the amount of damage from their fellow mid laner. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Death Rocket brings down Wadsworth to 0 HP, finished off by the Jinx. Eerie trying to lick his wounds, pulling back to the tier 1 fountain, pushing up this wave. Opts not to back. Peach is now on the way. Maybe going for a little bit of gank. We're just going to have to see. Leona R is up. They are calling that out right now as Eerie is claiming this may not be a time for a gank, as all of the ultimates are going to be available for the peel. However, I don't think they have the same information that we do, because Amandarin does not have the ultimate up. They do have the ignite, but Crystal Fang doesn't have flash. I think a gank was possible there.
Possible. They were just pushed up under the turret. It was like Do we want to maybe sacrifice Erie's life here for maybe a kill on their ADC? Ultimately, I think they made the good decision in just letting both sides recall.
That's true. And the best way to get back into these games is going to be going for those shutdowns. Maybe some of the counter calls would be a little overextended if it's not a guaranteed bounty claim. However, I would roll those dice as much as possible if I was River Falls. Going for this 350 gold may not seem like a lot. However, that could be another component going towards a full item on this Misfortune. Alizria now in trouble using that Proto Belt to jump away from the knockup of this Jarvan, and Abzi goes home without any chicken dinner tonight. No Kennen is in the bag. Full health, full energy, and ready to help the rest of the team.
Arrow Hunter and Peach were looking for a gank there, but unfortunately we're spotted out, and the jungler has decided to go elsewhere as Camille's trying to push pressure onto this Kennen. And we're going to see a fight here for this, I believe, Rift Herald.
Yeah, Abzi going in, trying to use that flag to knock up somebody on River Falls, but it's not going to work.
Come on,
Instead,
Kennen!
Mandarin tethering onto Peach. Solitary skill using the E and flash, but instead expends the flash from Peach instead. Now, another fight in the top. River is going down. Arrow Hunter 1v2ing, marking these two players of St. Clair and absolutely massacring them. This is why you pick Mbessa for this man. Zaku now on the hunt is going to try and trigger that phase rush to hunt down. Yes, he is. Arrow Hunter is instead stopped in his tracks. The massacre has stopped for now. Can River Falls make something happen with all of the space that Arrow Hunter made? No. It's going to be a triple kill for the Orianna as that little orb is doing so much damage. A flash away from Wadsworth. Can this Rel survive? No. The ultimate from Solitary is brought out, securing the quadra kill for Zaku.
Orianna this late in the game, this many items. A very great decision going with Mejas here. Popped that ultimate and just everybody got tossed like a salad. All their HP just went away and right into the hungry mouths of St. Clair as they put that scoreboard up to 5 versus 15. Arrow Hunter trying to make a move here with a flash here and finally shutting down this Jinx. A much needed payday coming for Erie.
Yeah, Erie, Misfortune. That's a lot of gold on a very, very good character to have it on. Honestly, either way it would have swung if it went to the Mbessa or the Misfortune. Both scale very well in this game. So this could be the beginning of a very bright future in the rest of this game for River Falls.
Objective bounties are live for River Falls. They've got still more bounties on this Orianna and, of course, this Camille, who's still 1-0-4. A lot of unkillable demons on both sides, I think. I think we still got the rest of the game on our hands.
Yeah, and I think St. Clair knows that because Abzi, instead of farming the rest of the jungle, is instead going to cover the bottom lane for his team, waiting for this Yep, there it is. This wave to crash. The jungler is actually going to be the laner right now as everybody starts moving towards the bottom side, but the Mbessa is already gone, and the remaining players in River Falls are collapsing onto Solitary right now. I don't think he knows. This may be a very, very good play. Yeah, the E is already used. That's the mobility skill for the Camille. Alzaria brought down to half HP, but it's not going to be enough as the stun and near sight double CC. He is blind, dead, and dumb. Ducked into the grave right there. A shutdown for Peach.
Absolutely great. Well executed by River Falls. Only one ultimate was used. It's the only one you needed to use there. Go Ted. Go ahead.
Public execution to get away from the remaining members of St. Clair. Arrow Hunter using that ultimate, unfortunately had to use it to get away, but lives to see another day. The counterplay on bottom lane was failed from St. Clair. Meanwhile, River Falls made a very, very good and very beneficial play on top. Rift Herald was called from St. Clair. They are going to claim that tier 2, but Arrow Hunter is able to get away, and the rest of the cavalry is here to back him up. No tier 3 will fall today.
I think towards this end of this game here, River Falls, we're starting to see kind of constricting on themselves, playing as a team, which is obviously great. You want to see that. But you also have to be really, really careful against a Camille, against a Cataclysm on the Jarvan, and especially against this absolute monstrosity of an Orianna.
Shockwave could be the difference maker, and as I was saying that, I thought there was going to be one right there. 3 members of St. Clair get nearsighted from the smoke bomb from that Graves. Solitary skill is being marked in the mid lane right now on that flank. I think River Falls smells blood in the water. They want to turn on somebody really bad. Cataclysm Shockwave goes through. However, Erie's ultimate is doing so much damage in the meantime. Can they make it work? Arrow Hunter brought down to 1 HP. No! All 5 members of St. Clair are brought down to low HP, but it's not going to be enough as none of them die. None of them are put in the grave, and all 5 members of River Falls pass away into the night. An ace from St. Clair.
I think I said it perfectly at the beginning of the game. Not to pat myself on the back or anything, but the first person, the first team and the first person to make a move in these fights is going to emerge victorious. They have really good bursts, they have really good lockdown, and that's exactly what St. Clair did in this fight. They cornered, or like they cattled River Falls like sheep, like the sheep school that we are. More cows, I guess. But they cattled us, and you know, having Camille up above, River Falls was like, do we go after the Camille? Do we turn on this fight and have the Camille pinch us in the back? They took so long waiting for that moment and making that decision that they got picked up and just slammed on. The Maelstrom was great from the Kennen. That's exactly what you want, exactly where you wanted that Kennen to be. But unfortunately, the rest of the team just got collapsed on.
Yeah, a little bit of impatience from River Falls and a little bit of, you know, a misunderstanding of the position that they had right there, as all of the ultimates for St. Clair was available. Meanwhile, on the side of River Falls, Mr. Wadsworth, Eerie, and Arrow Hunter did not have ultimates until that fight started. Arrow Hunter actually didn't even have it for the remainder of that fight. He had to use the bottom lane to get away. But as I'm saying all of these bad things about River Falls, they were able to get a shutdown from the Leona onto that Graves. Crystal Fang then brought down to 1 HP. The Jinx is down. A shutdown for the Cannon. Peach now on the back foot. 1 shot left in that shotgun and 1 health left. No, it's going to be 0 health left as a double kill comes out for the Ori. Camille now wreaking terror on the backline, and Alizria just trying to get away, making some distance for his team. Zaku trying to get away himself from Arrow Hunter, but it's going to be locked up from Solitary, and that's going to be done and dusted for River Falls. The Otacon will go into the way of St. Clair.
Really good positioning from both teams, and of course at the beginning of that fight, River Falls made the first move. They picked up that Leona, and then they double backed and went down towards the bot lane to pick off whoever was there, that Jinx, and that's exactly what you wanted to see. You wanted to see River Falls prioritizing targets as a team, picking out single targets rather than just kind of throwing AoE, picking health bars off of everybody. Unfortunately, right towards the end of that fight, when we saw things go back towards the way of St. Clair, we saw Obsi on this Jarvan 4 just pop over, and I don't remember. I think they caught Peach out. So Peach or Kennen was just trying to come back and help Mr. Wadsworth and Arrow Hunter on that fight, but just got caught out by the Jarvan.
Crystal Fang trying to poke around Peach's blue buff. Peach is having none of that. Instead, just opts to smite it away as 1 charge is still left in the pocket of this Graves. The Gromp will go in the way of Peach as well, and honestly, the level differentials aren't that wide between these two teams. The only one I'm really seeing right now is the top lane, with Solitary claiming level 14 while Alizria is claiming level 12, but I think that's just because of how these team fights have been going.
Trying to look, I'm trying to wait. River Falls got to make a move here. They're going to try and pinch off. We've kind of split. We've got 1 top, 1 bot, and then 3 mid, whereas St. Clair's got 1 bot, 3 mid, and 1 in the jungle. So we're kind of just back to CSing, kind of just back to a lull, a waypoint, maybe waiting for the next objective to take and the next move to make.
Yeah, I'm surprised that nobody's collapsing on Zachary. They must not have information on the side of River Falls in this side of the jungle, as 3 members are dancing around the bottom side of blue jungle, and they do not see this Orianna. But meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Arrow Hunter misses the public execution, does not land onto the Camille. The Camille instead W's backward, gets that slow, stuns up Arrow Hunter, and locks him in the R ultimate on a killing spree now for this Camille 1v2ing in the bottom lane. And as I was saying, as Mr. Wadsworth is now finding out, Zaku has been in this side of the jungle this entire time. Nobody marking him, nobody pinging him, and instead claiming a kill of his own. The support for River Falls will fall, and I think the tier 2 in the top lane will as well.
Yeah, I was trying to keep an eye on that Orianna that was taking the Raptors as Mr. Wadsworth and Eerie were heading down to bot side. I think it looks like Eerie made it, but for some reason Mr. Wadsworth was hung up and ended up catching hands with this Orianna.
We're going to have to see how River Falls wants to play this defense.
Crystal Fang able to hit that turret outside of range?
Yeah. They have a lot of engage right now on the side of St. Clair. They have the Jarvan Cataclysm. They have Solitary skill. Well, not the ultimate, but they do have that E in case they want to go for a quick pick. And as well as attaching that Orianna orb onto any of these melee members for St. Clair, he can immediately pop that shockwave onto his teammates and absorb any of the enemies in the vicinity.
Zaku trying to set up with this Orianna ball. That ultimate is ready.
What is this range on this Jinx? What?
Don't know.
Am I the only one seeing this?
I don't know what gives that. No clue.
Super Mega Death Rocket does chunk some of the members of River Falls. However, that's an important ultimate that is now taken away for the next team fight. River Falls may want to collapse on something now.
Look at the cooldown on that thing. It is coming back quick.
It is coming back quick, but something quicker that's coming back is going to be public execution. The R button for Arrow Hunter is about to come up, and I think this may be the engage that River Falls was looking for. Zaku does destroy the blue inhibitor in the mid lane, and they're pulling back. I think they do smell a little bit of weakness, and that's why River Falls is playing more confidently. And, you know, St. Clair instead taking the decisive victory of these inhibitors and pulling back.
I believe we're looking for, we're looking for Zaku, who's all by himself, seemingly. Arrow Hunter popping the public execution and able to just lock down Zaku and take that shutdown gold.
Good synergy of ultimates from River Falls as they collapse onto the biggest threat that St. Clair had to offer. 40 seconds on this Orianna, and I think Drake is going to be secured from River Falls. They don't have a really big playmaker other than Abzi right now. As long as they can get onto Crystal Fang and Wadsworth doesn't lose his face before the fight even starts, Cataclysm lands onto Arrow Hunter, but that is the wrong person that you want to go for. A shield pops through with the melee. Unfortunately, Arrow Hunter is taking up too much damage. There's no peel for River Falls for him at the moment. Abzi jumping over the wall into the red buff pit, nearsighted from Peach's smoke bomb. Can Peach 1v1 this? Oh my goodness, no he can't. Before I can even get my sentence out, he is sent to the grave. Eerie, now the last remaining member of River Falls to defend this. The lone misfortune, so much damage, so much hope riding on the shoulders of this young man. Can he make some miracles happen with these two Nexus turrets?
During that last fight, St. Clair ended up dumping a lot of their resources onto Mr. Wadsworth, and he was just kind of getting the punching bag end of the staff.
Yeah,
and during that time, I think River Falls could have responded and hit some of those pushed up units, but they're just getting bullied.
Unfortunately, I think this game is done and dusted as the shockwave lands true onto two members of River Falls, cementing a victory for St. Clair 2-0. However, even though that this series is over, the season is not. There are a lot of good games to look forward to from River Falls. These are very, very talented young players, and I am very excited to see what they have next for us. In the meantime, that's going to be all from us here at the Caster's Desk. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight, Gavin. What else do you have to say about the games tonight?
That's about it. I'm happy to be here as usual with you, James, and we are on, I believe, week 3 with a bye week last week. So that was just game 2 from River Falls, and this team is young. There's a lot of moving parts for this team that changed from last year, so everybody's trying to get more familiar with roles and more familiar as a team. And, I mean, we saw the same thing last year, and they only got better.
Absolutely. Some undefeated victories coming in the near future. Stay tuned for that. However, for now, we are going to bid you good night and farewell. Stay safe out there.